there was this one particular morning where me and my buddy Seth, we were going out and we were going to go fishing, right? And so we hit up one of my other friends, Logan, and he brought one of his friends, and we said, look, there's 4 of us. There's 2 boats. Let's do a little competition here, right? And so it was in the summer. I don't know if it was the summer after junior or senior year of high school, but we said, let's do a little competition. Whoever, I don't know how we had it broken down. Red fish were X amount of points, specs were whatever, so on and so forth. And so we put in, it's not even light yet. And we both go, and we're in Seth's dad's boat, right? Mr. Sean's boat. And I think it's a bass tracker, just kind of a Blackwater River special. And so we're cruising. I think we're going pretty dang fast. And Logan and his buddy, they've got this, I don't even know what it is. It looks like a dang spaceship with like a Mercury 150 on the back, and they freaking zoom by us so fast. And so we get out there and we start fishing a little bit. I have no clue where they went, by the way. So we say, hey, we're going to be back at this time. Just take a picture to document any fish. That way we can kind of make sure that we're keeping each other accountable. So we get out there and we're fishing and I look down and I'm sitting in the back of the boat, right? And I'm used to being in a Collins craft, which I think I've talked about the Collins craft before, but the Collins craft, if you're getting water in the boat, you're gonna see it coming in, right? But this bass tracker, it has like a little air compartment in the hull that keeps it afloat, right? And so I just see kind of water starts kind of bubbling up in the back of the boat. And I was like, hey, bud, I don't think this is supposed to be happening. And so, in a frantic, collection of actions, we just punch the gas because we're filling up with water. We're about to sink this man's boat, or rather his dad's boat, in the middle of Blackwater Bay. I mean, we are out in the middle. And so we put the motor down and we gun it, and just the nose of the boat just goes straight up because all that water ran to the back. And so the nose of the boat is about like this, probably 80-degree angle. I'm sitting on the front. I'm holding on, man. He almost threw me back. And I'm like, don't go back to the ramp. Let's just go over, let's go over to the shore over here. And thankfully we were by the bay house, that my grandparents own. And my aunt and uncle were actually staying there at the time because they were building their house, and they were staying at the red house there. And my Uncle Dale's out there walking their German Shepherd, and me and Seth just pull up with the nose of that boat just stuck straight up in the air. And he's like, what are y'all doing? I was like, I'm going to be honest, Uncle Dale. We forgot to put the plug in this boat before he took off. I just need you to not tell anybody about this, okay? Thankfully, we had a little bilge pump.
Is that like a shot vac?
It takes water inside the boat, spits it outside the boat. So I got the bilge going. Seth jumped in the water, puts the plug in. And really, we sat there. I think the total duration of our little competition between the 4 of us, I want to say it was 2.5 hour competition. I mean, from daylight at, let's say, 5:45 to maybe 8 o'clock. And we sat there for probably an hour and a half just pumping water out of the bottom of that boat. And so, I mean, really by the time we got it to where it would actually run somewhat properly, it was time to go back to the ramp. So we put the plug in and we went back to the ramp. And honestly, we got there about a minute early and we just threw some cast around the dock, didn't catch anything, obviously, because we hadn't been fishing for, maybe 3 minutes all morning. Logan and his buddy, they pull up. I'm expecting them to have just, we caught 30 redfish, They didn't catch anything. So tie ball game really is what we come away with. We never told them that we almost sunk the boat, of course. Why would we do that? We just acted like, hey, we got back to the ramp a little bit early because there was a penalty if you got back late. It was real. It was a real certified competition.
Fish so just weren't biting today.
Yeah, they just weren't biting, believe it or not. And they were like, yeah, man, it's something to, I'm sure the tide's jacked up, It's like, yeah, it's the tide, man. So we pulled that thing up on the trailer and pulled it out of the water. And it's a good 15 minutes ride back to his house. And I want to say there was still water pouring out of that thing whenever we got to his house. So either way, we got it dried out. I don't even know if he told his dad. I don't think his parents listen to this podcast, so I feel pretty safe in saying that. But yeah, anybody out there listening, there's no reason to really go tell them this. But that was a little fun little summertime adventure for me. And we were almost swimming to shore there for a second. So that was an exciting little adventure, or perhaps misadventure that we had. So, but really, I'm interested in your adventures and misadventures from the past 7 days, if there are any.
How would you define a misadventure?
I would say a misadventure. You ever seen The Hobbit? Okay. I would consider that a there's some misadventures. You're going on an adventure and maybe it doesn't quite turn out the way you expected, right? Along the way, there's some twists and turns that'll certainly test your faith,
So would you say that is faith building? Endurance building? Endurance training? Or would we categorize that as a misadventure? Should we redefine our circumstance?
I think you could. I think in this situation, it's just remember to put the plug in the boat, right? I don't think it's really building endurance or building faith necessarily. Just more of a reminder, Hey, let's double check the plug before we put it in,
What is the benefit of flooding a boat?
I hope you've got an answer because I don't have one.
Well, one, I think if you're looking to lose a lot of money, that's an option. No, but really, obviously it was user error why the boat flooded. But what could you gain aside from a reminder from a boat flooding? Aside from reminding you to put the plug in, what did you gain?
I think if we would have let it sink, I think we would have gained a pretty good brim bed that only we would have known about. You know what I mean? But other than that, I really don't think we would have gained much.
Do you think, I'm just thinking out loud, do you think that you gained patience? You gained knowledge. You learned what to do in case of a flood. You learned how to drive a boat. Let me drive the boat at 80 degrees. What's on your cup there for our for our listening audience? It looked like you just drew out a straw, but you also have a chocolate on top.
It's a little. Chocolate bunny.
Are you doing a little nibble swallow? Nibble drink swallow?
Yeah, it's about 68% of a chocolate bunny. Wow. That I was curtailing this morning.
That's pretty special. Did you name the chocolate bunny?
No, because it makes me sad whenever I eat it. So I never name, you don't name your food. That's what you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, you don't name your food. As I'm watching Jackson eat my to-go plate.
That was so graciously provided for you. And it made it all the way to the house. I'm so, Look. You should be so...
Oh,
you're so cold. Lucky.
Well, yeah.
Green chili enchilada?
I would love to... Oh. There's too much. Too much in my mouth.
You're like... It's like the Grinch. He's doing the fudge competition. You're just shoving fudge in his mouth. One dude with the beard comes up. He's like, "This isn't fudge." And shoves it in his mouth. Oh, gracious. Gracious.
Look.
It's the chair of cheer.
I love the taste of that, but I don't like cold food. And especially a lot of cold.
Yeah.
Wow.
You think you're going to be able to come back from that?
I mean, it tasted incredible. It's just the cold. Just imagine how much better it tastes when it's warm. We were talking about a bunny.
Chocolate bunny.
We don't name our bunnies. 68%. We'll call it 68%. What else were we talking about? Flooding.
Boats sinking.
Boats sinking. What could you learn? What do we say you would learn from sinking a boat?
And I said I don't think anything, except for to double check that the plug's in.
Maybe what the definition of a misadventure is.
Perhaps.
I'm just trying to show our listeners that when something doesn't go as planned, what do we make of it? Do we pull the plug and say, it's a misadventure? Or do we find the plug it in, reframe our minds, say, this is the original adventure. It's just taking on a different form. Just something to think about. Anyway, I believe you asked me how my 7 days were.
I did.
Did you want to hear them?
I'd love to, yeah.
All right, I'll share them now. So, as you know, last week, it started off Monday, because, we recorded on Sunday. Actually, that's a lie. Well, that's half truth. We did record on Sunday. We also recorded on Monday, because we love you deeply and generously. Anyway, onward. Well, that was the 24th, that Sunday, night of praise. What happens the 25th? Well, remember, my parents are in town, but why are they in town? Well, they're on spring break, going to visit you. Spoiler for our listeners. But what was the 25th, all right? It was my parents' wedding anniversary. All right? 29 years of marriage. A lot can happen in 29 years, you know? You could have 3 kids. You could move from Texas to Florida. You could have a grandchild. You could buy a house. Let me tell you, my parents, now, I don't know if they'll hear this or not, but they are some of the most generous parents I know. And that's kind of an easy thing to say because they're the only parents I have. But they exemplify generosity. All right, they do anything for their child. And when you really think about it, it just draws me to thankfulness. And I'm not great at thanking my family. I don't really know why I'm sharing this with the world right now, but it's just a fact. So maybe it's so the world can hold me accountable. But I'm thanking them now. You ever have someone do something for you and it's just so unnecessary and you're at a loss for words as to how to thank them? That's how I feel. I mean, they birthed me. I was a problem child. You know, I caused a lot of problems. Financial problems, emotional problems. Yet, they still support me. Oh dear. I gotta move on. Anyway. We went to the Flying Biscuit Cafe on Monday. Oh, that was amazing. All right. I forget what I got, but it was a classic breakfast. It had the grits, it had the cones, it had the eggs and the biscuits, and a cup of café. And it was good. All right. What happens Monday evening? Well, I go hit the courts with Connor Coleman. Connor, the Big Red Machine Coleman. That was fantastic. Tuesday rolls around. All right. This is the week of Easter, by the way. Tuesday rolls around. We have a life group. We're in Acts 21. All right. We're looking at the life of Paul. Well, what does Paul do? Paul is on a missionary journey, his third missionary journey. He wraps it up. He's on his final missionary journey to Jerusalem. All right. We know on this side of the Bible that Paul's going to die. He's going to be arrested. But if we're reading it like a suspense thriller, we wouldn't know that unless we read ahead. Well, the people are like, Paul, going to Jerusalem is going to get you killed. And Paul's like, so what? Bring it on. Bring it on. I'm not afraid of the battle. You know, and why does Paul do this? Well, Paul's trying to get there before Pentecost, which is the festival of celebrating the coming of the Holy Spirit. And Paul, well, he's just a beast. He goes to Jerusalem. Where we stopped in our study was he went to try to purify these Nazarites to kind of prove to the Jews that he didn't actually say that to completely forget the law of Moses. In fact, he said to hold the rights if you do it unto the Lord. So it's again, as we reframe the definition of misadventure, we have to reframe in our minds what justifies us in the sight of God. You know, it's not holding the rituals. It is the blood of Jesus sacrificed for us. So we do the rituals to praise him. All right, we don't do the rituals to gain entry into heaven, to gain eternal life, to gain approval from the Father. That's what we learned onward. Wednesday. Wednesday was pretty standard. We had rehearsal, which was good. I thought I did something after that, but I think I may have just gotten home. Thursday. Thursday, we got Good Friday coming up. All right. So we had a Good Friday event. So I was, after work, trying to set up some of that stuff for Friday. Friday rolls around. Let me tell you, I'm going to take some time here. Jared McCombs. You know Jared McCombs? You ever met this Jared McCombs?
I have not, that I know of.
Maybe not. Probably not. Just an absolute phenomenal man. He's handsome. He is a servant. He would do anything for the people he loves. And so Jared McCombs and I are in the kitchen. We went to Publix to get naan bread for communion. Well, our plan, we're getting all gluten-free naan bread to just make it easy, right? Just everything's gluten-free. You don't have to say, hey, go to the gluten-free table if you're gluten-free. Just everything. Makes it easy. Well, we ran into an inventory issue at Publix. All right, so we had to pivot. And then Jared and I, we get the gluten-free and the normal naan bread. We take it to the kitchen. We also got some apple fritters and donuts, but that was not for communion. That was for our own personal enjoyment. But we're in the kitchen tearing up some naan bread, pouring some grape juice. Man, he was an absolute gift to serve alongside. That night happens, Good Friday. It's just a beautiful night to reflect on the sacrifice of the cross. And you can now think of this in this way. I've always, whenever I wanted to reflect on the sacrifice, I think of a literal child, a literal baby, one that I love. I don't have a son, but it could be someone's son. It could be a young child just holding. You look at them and you say, oh, this is precious. Now imagine looking at them and saying, I'm going to send you to die for the sins of the world. And that illustration breaks down at some point, but the point remains the same. This innocent baby who is weak is going to be the sacrificial lamb for the people of the world. I just can't imagine. Same thing with Abraham and Isaac, I believe. Brothers having to bring up his own son, say, hey, Isaac's like, Dad, where's the lamb or goat? And Abraham's like, son, I'm praying for a goat to show up, but right now, there's not one. All right? It's that same thing. How can you look at your son and say, you're it? It's difficult. It's difficult to comprehend, and I think that's the point, is how could we? You have to have a God that would do that. Because it breaks down, because me and my son are two different beings. Whereas God and Jesus would be one being, different persons. 3-in-1. Now I've opened a can of worms that I'm going to shut quickly because I'm not too sophisticated and qualified to share. Saturday rolls around. Well, what happens? I play pickleball. Try to for about an hour and 11 minutes. Then we played some children. All right, they were ninth grade, and they got a little mad at each other. All right, one of them was like, "Dude, you gotta use your arm, your right side. You gotta hit that." Because we just kept passing the ball. And we took it easy. But even our easy was not easy enough. And, I respect them for going out there trying to get some good competition. And they did. I mean, they got smoked by everyone they played. But you know what that's going to lead them to? Just like smoking kindergartners in upward basketball, is in 6 years, they're going to be able to look back on the times that they got absolutely throttled and say, I'm thankful for that time. That was Saturday. Sunday. Oh, but Sunday's coming. And Sunday is today. Well, at the point this is released, it's Monday. But Sunday today is when we're recording this. And Sunday today is Easter Sunday. Well, you have church. All right, sunrise service, 9:30, 11. Then after that, what do? Graciously, the Garys, James and Amelia, Jude and Ezra, invited me to their family Easter lunch. All right, what a hospitable invitation. And it was just magnificent. There are so many people that really care and are so hospitable and are a challenge, an example, and an encouragement to me, right? Why do I struggle to open my home? And I'll have one quick reason is because I don't like it being dirty. But here's the deal. Am I then idolizing cleanliness over caring for people? And the answer is absolutely. How do I battle this? Well, you have to come to the recognition that life is not my own. All right? I'm just processing. But, man, oh man. Then I go home. I get some work done. I watch some golf, which we can talk about later. Then I go on a stroll, an evening Easter stroll. And, well, lo and behold, I needed to use the facilities. I drank a lot of liquids beforehand. And about mile 2, I was in not good shape. I needed to find something quickly. Well, I'm power walking, and I look to my left, and I've been to this area before, Joyner Construction. I may have just convicted myself of a crime, I don't know. But Joyner Construction is building a new home, and what do new home builds require? They require porta potties. All right, so I walk over to the new construction home. I open the porta potty. I use the restroom in the facilities. I walk out of the porta potty. And then there's this man with a shotgun just sitting outside the porta potty. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I just used the restroom in there. And now I have just used the restroom out here." And he began to chuckle. He shot me in the leg. And I walked off. But shout out Porta Serve. They really came in the clutch for me there. Now, I could have just used the woods, but it's kind of a public area. And so there aren't really any public woods. I know those two statements were contradictory. it's a public walkway, but all the property is private, so all the woods is owned by somebody. So I can't just walk in the woods. Also, there's not much coverage in the woods. It's just like a strip of grass, tall grass. So it's not a safe.
How tall? That's the real question.
It's a good 2 feet tall. I mean, I could lie down.
Well, really, as long as you're not like facing the road,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you'll be okay, right?
yeah. I
But
mean,
if you're like
everybody
me and
would
you
know
go-
what you're doing.
Right. You just can't go full pants around the ankles,
Of course.
as
of
we're
course.
so often tempted to do, you know?
Yes. And then one final tempted? One final thing is we kind of experienced this interaction. I was just fed a bite of food. All right. Hot cold green chili enchilada. It was delicious. But it again, the cold food, it's not for me. Hot food, which is what that is supposed to be served as. Oh, knock your socks off. Well, Jackson is dating this woman named Julia. We talked about it a little bit last year. I believe we called her the significant other. Not last year, but last week.
Yep.
Well, her family, who I met her mother this morning at church, what do? They give me an Easter basket. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And back to my family, they brought me Easter basket, and they've brought me something. All right, it's this pretty little egg here, and it's a maple nut goodie. All right. Well, let me tell you about the maple nut goodie. It's maple, it's nut, and it's a goodie. And you should have one if you haven't. Brett, you were munching on this chocolate. Well, I still got Mr. 100% here. And you've kind of talked to me about kind of divulging into such 100%. But I will resist the temptation for now and hear about your 7 days, because I know they've been jam-packed. I know I'm not going to spoil it, but I did mention that there were some visitors in your area.
We did. We had some visitors. And I wanted to make a comment from kind of the beginning of your week. I was thinking about Paul when you were talking about him. And he was shipwrecked several times. So really, I feel like I'm in pretty good company there as far as having boats kind of sink on us. So, but yeah, it was a great week. Man, it flew by quick. I took off work. Molly was on spring break. Stetson, he just kind of does what we do. So he was hanging out. And yeah, I didn't have work. It was really nice. I took a couple calls, had a couple meetings, but overall it was very chillax. So yeah, Monday, your parents came into town. I think y'all had breakfast that Monday, right? Like you said. So they came in the afternoon, maybe 2:00, something like that. We just kind of bulled around a little bit the first day. Ate some leftovers from our fridge. I'm sure they really enjoyed that. Tuesday was really interesting. We went to St. Armand's Circle, which is on, it's kind of between Sarasota downtown and Longboat Key. So it's this area with shopping and restaurants. And some of your family from your dad's side, Kathy and some of her offspring, really several generations of it, they flew down for one day to go to the beach. And it just so happened that, obviously me and Molly, they knew that we lived in Sarasota, but they didn't know that your parents were going to be in town. So it was just the stars aligned and we went to this place called Cha Cha Coconuts, and I got myself a Cuban sandwich, and it was delicious. Stetson got a cheese quesadilla. I ate 60% of it, and I don't feel bad about it. I'm trying to think what we did for dinner that night, Tuesday night. What did we do? Maybe we got pizza? That's what I'm thinking. We've got this good pizza shop called Rico's right down the street. It's like maybe a 45-second drive from our apartment. Oh, it's so good. We got an arugula pizza with bacon. It's got a balsamic glaze on it, I think is what they call it.
Did you just say a balsamic glass?
It's a balsamic glaze, and it's so good, dude. It's to die for. So that was Tuesday, and that was really jam-packed. Wednesday, we woke up. We went to the Moat Aquarium, which is out on Longboat Key. And I'll be honest, I did not have a great attitude going into it. I was open-minded, but I wasn't convinced that I was going to have a great time. And I had a blast, honestly. I think I had more fun than Stetson. We would let him go, and there's like just elementary school kids just running around all over the place, and he loves that. So, like any bigger kid, he just watches them and just runs around them. So he was having a blast. But they've got some really cool like exhibits. They have like this coral laboratory, and they're like studying diseased coral and figuring out different anecdotes and medicines and things like that. That was really cool. What else? They got a manatee. They got this big manatee, and he's like swimming. He swims in front of the glass, whatever. Sea cow. He's just kind of very gracefully floating around. And every time, we'd hold Stetson in front of the glass, and we're like, look at the giant manatee. I mean, he's literally 3 feet away, and there could be this little minnow just swimming underneath the manatee. And Stetson's like, look at that. Look at the minnow. I'm like, no, look at this massive creature that's right in front of you. But you can't tell him what to do. You can't tell him what to pay attention.
That is a kid who appreciates the small things.
It's true. It's true. Probably because in his world, everyone else is so much bigger than him. He's like, look, I'm used to things being huge, massive and overweight, I hang around my dad enough, he says.
Hey. I saw a video of you shirtless the other day, and you looked great.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very sweet. I had some pretty serious farmer's tan going, and I still do. It's really something that I'm proud of. But yeah, loved the aquarium. It was awesome. I think I'm kind of anti-zoo, because zoos are like, oh, look at this tiger. It's like nothing that you'll see. I mean, sure, they do have some regional / local stuff, but most of it's like, hey, this is stuff that you're going to see if you go on a safari in Africa. Whereas the aquarium was like, hey, here's a redfish. Here's a shark that can be found in the waters, just off the beach here. Here's a manatee. So it was a lot of creatures, a lot of wildlife that you would kind of interact with, maybe not on a daily basis, but within your general region. They didn't have like a blue whale, something that you'll literally never see unless you travel across the world to see it. So I thought that was cool. And yeah, I had a blast. I learned a lot. I read all the placards. So it was a long trip, but it was a fun trip. What else? What else? What else? Oh, how could I forget? We were on our way back from the aquarium. We dropped your parents off at their Airbnb. Stetson's got to take a nap because he's had a big morning at the aquarium. Huge morning at the aquarium. And we see this man. We're driving down Fruitville Road. And it's like off in the distance on a bicycle, just going. And at first I see, just like a guy, and I'm thinking, oh, he's got a fanny pack on his back. And we get closer, and he's wearing, I don't even know how to describe it. It's, what are those, they're men's bathing suits, but they're really, really small.
Speedos.
Speedo.
Thongs.
That's what it is. Thong. So he had a Speedo, and it would have covered some of his cheeks. But what he had done is he had hiked him up and almost kind of turned him into a thong a little bit. And I know this is a G-rated podcast, but he had hiked him up. And so what I thought was a fanny pack, right at his lumbar area, was just the fabric that was supposed to be covering his cheeks. And so really, he might as well have not been wearing any underwear at all. He had no shirt, no hat, no backpack. Nothing to cover his backside except for this Speedo that he had essentially nullified all of the coverings on the backside. So I'm not going to get too graphic on it, but it was a lot of skin and a lot of hair. And that's all I'll say. I'm not going to go any further. I got to stop myself.
I'm not going to get too graphic on it, but this guy, he hiked his underwear all the way up. We could see literally everything. It was hairy. But I'm not going to get too graphic.
Dude, I'm not getting too graphic, I'm just saying, okay? And I used to do that as a kid. Sometimes I still do it. It's a fun little joke to play when people aren't expecting it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Dude, when you're driving down a main thoroughfare on a bike, not a move that I would pull. Not at all. But nonetheless, we passed him.
That makes one of us.
We passed him and, said sayonara, and there's really no there's no telling what he's doing right now. Heaven only knows.
He's probably stretching his undies out.
Anyways, that was Wednesday. Wednesday night, me and Molly went on a little date night, did a little staycation. I'm trying to think. Yeah, we just went out to dinner. Next morning, we went to Mademoiselle, which is a little French patisserie in UTC. Yeah.
Et la salle des bons?
C'est la vie, oui, oui.
Such is life, yes, yes. Shout out to our 1% French audience on the Quite Frankly podcast.
True. I'm trying to think what else. I had a crepe for breakfast that morning. It was bomb. It was French. Hard to beat it.
What was in the crepe?
I think strawberries and bananas. It's kind of basic.
Oh.
Kind of basic. But that was Thursday. Your dad left Thursday morning, so we had to say goodbye to him on Wednesday afternoon. Thursday night, I can't remember what we did. We started watching the show The Bear, which, terrible language, would not recommend to children. But yeah, we'll see where that leads us to. I'm sure we'll continue to watch it somehow, some way. And then Friday, here's the fun thing. Friday, your mom was supposed to leave to go to the airport. She was supposed to get to the airport at like 3:30, right? And I said, hey, he had a short nap. Let me put him down for a nap. I think that's what happened anyways. Yeah. They leave at like 3:10. And I didn't really know when her flight was going to get there. She just said, I need to get to the airport at 3:30. Apparently that was cutting it a little close. Okay. And she got there like 30 minutes before her flight left. But she had TSA pre-check. So I'm thinking, oh, she'll fly through security. It's a small airport. They denied her because you have to, if you're going to check a bag, you have to be there at least 40 minutes before your flight. And she was like 35 minutes before the flight. And they're like, look, you can fly, but your bag can't. She was like, can I gate check it? There's another flight tonight. Can I send it on that one to Pensacola? They said no. They're like, either you get on the plane and you ship your bag for probably $1 million, right? Or you fly out in the morning. So she drove back. She spent an extra night with us, which was great. She watched Stetson. We got to go to a Good Friday service at our church that we wouldn't have been able to because they didn't have childcare. So we were gonna take Stetson. So really it turned out for the better. And, we got to spend a little more time with her and her with us. So that was a blast. It was a fun little, you could call it a misadventure, but there was a lot of good that came out of it. Really.
Precise.
I'm trying to think Saturday what we did. Oh, of course. We had an Easter egg hunt. Stetson got like 4 eggs. I kind of had to point them all out to him. And really, it was me just like, I'd put him down like 3 feet away from an egg to see if he would find it. And whenever he would just run in a random direction, I would have to like pick up the egg and shake it, put it back down, kind of leading the horse to water, if you will, just to see if he'll drink. And then after that, I went and played golf with some buddies. And I'll tell you what, man, I have not been playing well the past several rounds, but I was kind of feeling myself on Saturday afternoon. I was playing, dude. I was driving the ball decently. Typically, my chipping and putting is terrible. Like honestly, I hit my driver and my iron's typically pretty decent, and then just 4-putt, right? That leads to high scores. But I was 2-putting. I was hitting greens in regulation. It was really, I played a lot better than I expected. So I was pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Who was the squad?
Me, Jacob
1,
Sparks,
2,
Todd Chastain,
3.
And the 4th was kind of a new addition. He goes to Lakewood Ranch Baptist. He's in our Sunday school class. His name's Andy. He's a bro. He's from Boston, big Patriots fan. His pooch is named Tom Brady. He calls him Brady for short. I call his pooch TB12. I've also never met his pooch. But look, I think it's incredible. I mean, very, everything is Patriots. But I can respect
Does
it.
Does his pooch ride a bicycle along the freeway?
His pooch kisses his kids on the mouth.
Man. Shout out Andy, man. Sorry
Andy.
about that. I think we've tainted your pooch.
He's a bro. So, but yeah, it was a great group of dudes. And then obviously, Sunday this morning, we had 3 services. Me and Molly were greeters in the first service, and then we attended the second service. And we went to brunch afterwards at Georgie's, which I don't think you've ever been. We need to. It's hard for you because you work at a church, so you always have to leave on Saturday, right? You're never really there for Sunday. But one of these Saturdays, we need to do a brunch at Georgie's.
Yeah,
I got
though
this.
I'd like to attend Lakewood Ranch Baptist Church one day just to see what it's like. I'd like to be greeted by you, see how your breath smells. You know?
I'd kiss you, like I do with all of the other guests at the church.
That's right. I was reading their reviews, and everyone said it was a sloppy, wet church.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I would never give someone an unforeseen kiss, but a sloppy wet kiss I can't do. I can't.
Yeah, at least they know it's coming.
Right.
At least they know it's coming. Unforeseen is a different ballgame. Unforeseen will land you in jail.
Unforeseen, kind of borderline unconsensual, non-consensual.
Yeah.
But sloppy wet, that's... You see it coming.
I mean,
big lips. Boom, here
it's
it goes.
Sloppy and it's wet. It's not like it gets sloppy and wet in the act. It's coming at you sloppy and wet.
Right.
Unforeseen quite literally means I didn't see it coming. It was unforeseen. This random man put his lips on me. That was unforeseen. 1 star. But this random man approached me with sloppy wet lips and kissed me. Well, by the act of you approaching sloppily and wettily, it just makes sense. They can run away.
They see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
Right. I will say Stetson has perfected the unforeseen sloppy wet kiss. So he's pretty good. I'll go to kiss his cheek, a little peck on the cheek because they're chunky and cute. And he just opens the mouth. If this is my lips over here, opens the mouth and then just swipes right onto my nose and lip area. And it's just...
That's a trick
wet.
as old as time. It's like, kiss on the cheek.
Put one here.
Yeah, sweetheart.
Quick unforeseen sloppy wet kiss coming in.
Have you ever pulled an unforeseen on a girl? See, that just doesn't roll off the tongue. But
it's not right.
Yeah, it's not okay. It's not a good move, gentlemen. Don't go pulling around unforeseen kisses on women. Bad advice, to be quite frank.
Yeah. And we're not telling you to do that. So don't take that away from this podcast.
Yeah. But sloppily and wettily.
As long as you announce it, then I think you're good.
Yeah.
I'm here I go, Like, what? But yeah, that was my week. It was honestly, it was a great time. It went by really fast. Because it was so fun. I'm going to be honest, man. I'm not excited to go back to work tomorrow. I haven't gone to work in like 9 days.
Yeah, dude. Are you even employed?
I'm going to be on the struggle bus tomorrow. I'm going to have possibly 300 emails. But look, that's why we take time off, right? That's why we have fun.
Yeah. Maybe this is a good discussion to maybe talk about. How do you eliminate the Sunday scaries? Because I know a lot of people struggle with the Sunday scaries. How do you mediate, or completely eliminate them?
And if you're not familiar with Bo's Gen Z speak, the Sunday scaries is when you are, it's Sunday afternoon and you start thinking about work, and I guess you get scared. I've had this discussion with Molly. I don't really get the Sunday scaries because I'm not really like scared to go into work. I just get I don't even know. The Sunday procrastinations. I don't even know what to call it. It's just like, man, I'd rather sleep in tomorrow, or I'd just rather not go to work tomorrow. I'm not like scared of a meeting or something that I have, I guess people feel that way, but um, I'm just not looking forward to reading all those emails. I think that's the biggest thing.
How do you get to a point where you are looking forward to reading emails?
I think if I was smart, I probably would have spent maybe 15 minutes each night clearing my inbox. That way, when I get there Monday morning, it lessens the blow, you know. But I don't know if there's really any way to. I mean, I don't know what you do with your mindset to say, oh man, this is great. I can't wait to see what's just sitting in my inbox right now. It's going to be lit.
What are your emails about?
Dude, honestly, everything. You could name
Yeah.
something, and I promise you it's probably in my inbox right now.
Texas Rangers dollar hot dog night.
Very possible. Honestly, very possible.
New building construction permits.
That's probably, I would say there's a higher chance of that than the dollar hot dogs, but, still a really good chance that it's going to be in there.
Right. And so I'm thinking, what, by you reading, receiving, and responding to this email, what does it accomplish?
Well, I'd say it pushes the pile, so to speak. Construction is a big pile of things to do that have to get done at the same time. And you just eat the elephant one bite at a time, You push and you push and you push. You ever seen Facing the Giants?
I have.
You know where the dude gets up on his back, the coach climbs up on Brock's back,
Yeah.
and he's like,
"Come on, Brock!"
He's like, "Let me get on your back and put a blindfold on you, and you're gonna, not army crawl, but
Bear.
you're gonna bear crawl until I say stop." And he's going, "Oh yeah, go, and then at the end, Brock's basically dead, and he says, "Take off your blindfold, Brock. You're in the end zone." Which honestly,
It's one
9
of my
years
favorite
old,
scenes.
that junk could
Yeah.
give you chills, honestly.
That still gives me chills.
Well, do you have a song of the week? We're running up the time. We're running up the tab.
Run it up. Yeah. The Blood by Bethel, Jin Johnson, and Mitch Wong. All right, it's pretty appropriate for the time we're in. But it's a great song. You?
I'm going to go with a song by City of Light. It's called, and I'm really debating, I don't even know if this is on the collection yet or not. It's called Only a Holy God. That's not on there, right? Okay.
Not that I know of.
It's not on there. I'm going to add it. That's my song of the week. It's a banger.
That's awesome. I'll tell you, this has been pretty fun.
I really thought you cut out there for a second.
You have any closing thoughts? Any words of wisdom?
I don't think so. I think I'm good. What about you?
I think I've talked too much, but I will say, if you are a subscriber, you need to expect a big time video happening in April. All right. And I'm not talking about a subscriber to the YouTube, a follow on the podcast, though that is important. I'm talking about subscriber only content. If you're a subscriber to the subscriber-only content, you need to expect a big-time video happening in April. All right, second thing is we don't really promote ourselves all that much these days because we so appreciate the community of listeners we've had. That is you listening right now. But we would love some 5-star reviews if you're willing to give them. Third thing, we've just reached out to Fairlife, all right, the chocolate milk company, and we're waiting a response about a sponsorship. All right, so if you could be just, maybe if you wanted to message Fairlife, the listener, and say, hey, Quite Frankly podcast is ready to be in collaborations with you. Things could get a little exciting. You know, there are very few things in life that are better than ultra filtered milk. I'm telling you, if we can get with them, that would be special. We would have a treat for our listeners as well. And as always, you can find merch at our website. Here's the thing. We need you to visit our website because there at the website you can find listening to the podcast, listening to the Song of the Week collection, learning about the merchandising options, you know. It's not about the numbers, it's about the ratios. That's a shirt option these days. I mean, we can make anything. But most importantly, to be quite frank with you, we love you deeply and we love you generously. And we're going to see you in 7 days.